Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Hello dear students, welcome to another lecture, and in today's class we are going to start with the 9th chapter of your book, which basically is a play, and the name of the play is Riders to the Sea. Now, as the name suggests, the play is about people who rode into the sea. So, sea played a very important role in this story that we are going to read. Now, basically, the story revolves around 4 people in person. There was Moria, who was an old woman. She had 2 living daughters. One was Kathleen and the other one was Nora. Now, Moria had 1 living son also, whose name was Bartley. Now, the reason why I have mentioned the word living so many times is because, unfortunately, Moria had lost a lot of, family members to sea. Her husband and her son Michael. So, she had lost them to the sea. Michael, who was Moria's elder son, had, there was no news about him. So, he had drowned in the sea, but his body has not been found by anyone of late. So, the story opens with Catherine and Nora having a discussion over clothes that were given to them by the priest. So, she got to know, both of them obviously got to know that the priest found these clothes on the seashore, and the priest thought that those clothes belonged to Michael, their elder brother. Nora and Kathleen wanted to look at those clothes, wanted to ascertain whether those clothes actually belonged to Michael or not, because according to them, if they did, then they would be a little happy and satisfied with the fact that their brother had got a good, he had been cremated in a very nice manner. But if those clothes did not belong to Michael, then that suspense still prevails as to where Michael actually was, because they had not found his body yet. So, basically what happened was that Kathleen was cooking, she was baking a cake when Nora entered with this parcel in her hands, which were given to her by the priest. Nora asked Kathleen where their mother was, and Kathleen informed her that she was sleeping in the other room. So, that is when Nora told her sister about the clothes that the priest had given her and whether those clothes belonged to Michael or not. Both the sisters wanted to open that packet, wanted to have a look at those clothes, but then they were afraid that if their mother would wake up and she would realize that the clothes actually belonged to Michael, she would start to cry. And according to them, their mother was already going through a very, very tough time. So, looking at the clothes is actually going to increase her problems a lot. So, what did they decide? They decided to keep the clothes in the loft, and they thought that when their mother would not be around, they would just look at the clothes. Now, it was then when the mother woke up and she asked about their brother Bartley. Now, Bartley, who was their younger brother, was preparing to go to a horse fair, and for that also he had to cross the sea. Now, a mother who had lost her husband and her son to the sea, you can very well imagine how much pain she would have in her heart, and the word sea would be so terrifying and so scary for her. So, when she got to know that Bartley was also planning to cross the sea, she was not in favor of that. But then her sisters, Bartley's sisters and Maria's daughters, that is Kathleen and Nora, informed her that Bartley would certainly go there. This is what they've heard from the priest as well. Now then enters Bartley. Bartley was looking for all the stuff that he wanted to take away with himself. Now the mother did not want Bartley to go anywhere, because according to her, if he goes and in his absence the body of Michael is washed away on the shore, it is going to be very difficult for only the woman to do the last rites and to dig a grave for him and to bury him in the grave. So Moria did not want Bartley to go anywhere. Bartley, on the other hand, dismissed this thought by saying that it's been quite some time now that we've been waiting for Michael's body to wash on the shore, and if it hasn't taken place for such a long time, then how can we expect it to be done in the next 1 or 2 days? So Moria obviously was looking for options in order to stop Bartley from going, but Bartley was very adamant. He had decided that he would go and nothing could stop him. Now, when Bartley was going, rather than blessing him, rather than bidding him a goodbye, Moria reacted and she treated Bartley in a very rude manner, which was not obviously acceptable by Kathleen and Nora. After Bartley had left, Kathleen and Nora scolded their mother by saying that at least you should have blessed him and you should have bid him a goodbye, because in any case we have a lot of bad luck which is revolving, which is onlapping all from the past many years. So I just wanted you to wish him a good luck. Now reluctantly Moria went to the place where Bartley was to take off from, but there she saw something which left her shattered, which left her heart broken. She came back home, she was gasping and she was all worried. When she got back home, she told her daughters that when Bartley was going, in place of Bartley, she saw Michael's face. Okay. So basically that, according to all three of them, was a very bad omen. That was a very bad sign, and they were sure something bad is going to happen, and they were sure that their family is going to be all destroyed. And unfortunately the same thing happened. After a few days, the women came to their house informing them about a body that had been washed away on the shore. Moria thought that body was of Michael, but when she went there, it was Bartley. So Bartley was buried in the grave that was supposed to be built for Michael, and the clothes that Kathleen and Nora had finally discovered that they did belong to Michael, those clothes were also buried with him. So this is about the story. This is about a story of the family who lost, all their happiness, all their luck, all their hopes to the sea. So let us start reading. As I told you, the characters that we have in this story are Moria, who was an old woman. Then we had Bartley, who was her son, and Kathleen, who was her daughter, and Nora, who was the younger daughter. And then there were other men and women in the scene around her. Now, as the scene opens, an island off the west of Ireland, cottage kitchen with nets, oilskins, spinning wheels, some new boards standing by the wall, etc. Kathleen, a girl of about 20, finishes kneading cake and puts it down in the pot oven by the fire, then wipes her hands and begins to spin at the wheel. Nora, a young girl, puts her head in at the door. So the moment the play opens, the first scene is that of a little cottage kitchen. So this place where they were located was an island, a small island on the west of Ireland. So there was this small kitchen of a cottage, there were nets, there were oilskins. Oilskins refers to basically, that piece of cloth which is so thick that no water can seep in through it. So there were nets, there were oilskins, then there was a spinning wheel which was kept in the corner. There were some new boards standing by the wall. Boards, the wooden boards. The boards of the wood were standing in by the wall. Kathleen, who was a girl of about 20 years, she was kneading the cake. So kneading, we all know, for the dough. When you are making the dough, you have to knead the dough. So she was finishing kneading her cake and puts it down in the pot oven by the fire. So she kneaded the cake and then she put that cake in the pot oven and she put that by the fire. Then wipes her hands and begins to spin at the wheel. So after putting the cake in the oven, she wiped off her hands, clean. So she cleaned her hands because she was obviously kneading, and then she sat at the spinning wheel. Nora, who was a young girl, she put her head in at the door. Put her head in at the door. Putting your head in at the door is basically an expression to say or to talk about a person who did not just enter the door at once. Rather, when you peep in through the door, just using your head, you just peep inside the house and you want to see who all are there, and only then you will enter. So she peeped inside the house. She, in a low voice. So, very, very slowly she asked, where is she? Who is she over here? Their mother, Moira. So, Nora asked Kathleen about the whereabouts of her mother, Moira. Kathleen replied, she's lying down, God help her, and maybe sleeping if she's able. So she said that mother is lying down. So she is lying down on the bed, and obviously since she knew how much pain the mother was bearing at that time, she said, God help her. I just pray that God is by her side to support her, to, help her, give that whatever support she needs, and maybe sleeping if she is able. Now, when you lose somebody very close to you, for you to fall asleep is something very difficult. So she said that if she is able, there are chances of her sleeping as well. Nora comes in softly and takes a bundle from under her shawl. So, the moment Nora learnt that their mother was in the other room, she entered the house very, very softly. And from her shawl, so she had a shawl over her shoulders. So from beneath the shawls, she picked up a bundle. Kathleen, who was spinning the wheel rapidly, she asked, what is it you have? So very rapidly, very quickly, she was spinning the wheel. She asked Nora, what do you have in your hand? Nora said, the young priest is after bringing them. It is a shirt and a plain stocking were got of a drowned man in Donegal. So she said that the young priest is after bringing them, means that the young priest has actually brought them and has given it to me. It is a shirt and a plain stocking. So one piece of stock from the pair, only one sock was there, and there was a shirt which belonged to a drowned man. Drowned, we all know, somebody who drowns in the water and die. So these two things belonged to a man who drowned in Donegal. Kathleen stops her wheel with a sudden movement and leans out to listen. Suddenly, Kathleen forgot everything about spinning and she stopped that and she leaned forward. Leaning forward, so she bent forward as much as she could towards Nora in order to listen to what she was saying. Nora said, "We are to find out if it's Michael's they are. Sometime herself will be down looking by the sea." So Nora said that we are to find out if it's Michael's they are. After we look at this shirt and this stocking, we'd be able to figure out if these two things belong to Michael. Sometime herself will be looking down by the sea. Sometime herself, who is this herself? Their mother. So she says that, if Michael's body, if Michael is not found, then I'm very sure that our mother is going to go to the sea and will start looking for her son, will start looking for our brother. Kathleen says, "How would they be Michael's, Nora? How would he go the length of that way to the far north?" So Kathleen was a little surprised and she said that how can these clothes belong to Michael? Because as the priest had told them that these clothes belong to a man whose body was found in Donegal. Now Donegal was situated in the north side. Ireland is in the south. So she said that how can Michael go so far to the north end? Nora says, the young priest says he's known the like of it. "If it's Michael's they are," says he, "you can tell herself he's got a clean burial by the grace of God. And if there's not his, let no one say a word about them, for she'll be getting her death," says he with crying and lamenting. So Nora said that the young priest says he's known the like of it. So Nora told Kathleen that the priest told her that he knows such things are very much normal. He's known the like of it means that similar things have happened earlier also. This is not the first time when someone after getting drowned had simply washed ashore the north end of the earth. So she said that the priest also told her that if it is Michael's, if these clothes actually belong to Michael, then you can tell your mother that he's got a clean burial by the grace of God. So she said that if they do belong to Michael, then you can tell your mother, you can console your mother by saying that her son had got a very nice burial by the grace of God. So the God has actually buried her son well. And if they are not his, and if these clothes do not belong to Michael, let no one say a word about them. Then nobody is going to mention these clothes in front of Moria at all, for she'll be getting her death. Because if she gets to know about these clothes and if they do not belong to Michael, she will obviously die wondering and thinking where her son was, with crying and lamenting, feeling bad, regret. So Nora says that priest had conveyed this message to me when he himself was crying. He was feeling bad for what had happened with us and with our family. The door which Nora half closed is blown open by a gust of wind. So suddenly what happened? The door that Nora had closed, that door suddenly opened with a huge force of the wind. Kathleen says, looking at anxiously, "Did you ask him, would he stop Bartley going this day with the horses to the Galway fair?" So Kathleen was very anxious. She was very troubled. She was, a bit worried. So she asked Nora that, "Did you ask the priest if he would stop Bartley going this day with the horses to the Galway fair?" So Bartley was supposed to go to the Galway fair with his horses. So Kathleen wanted to ask Nora if the priest had told Bartley not to go anywhere in this situation. Nora says, "I won't stop him," says he, "but let you not be afraid. Herself does be saying prayers half through the night, and the Almighty God won't leave her destitute with no son living." So Nora further told Kathleen what the priest had said about Bartley leaving for the fair. So she says that the priest, spoke these words that I won't stop him. So the priest had said that I am not going to stop him, but let you not be afraid. But the priest consoled Nora by saying that don't be afraid, don't be scared. Herself does be saying prayers half through the night. He says that your mother yourself is speaking prayers for Bartley. Half through the night means almost the entire night. Whenever she is awake, she only keeps on speaking, she only keeps on reciting the prayers for her only son. And the Almighty God would not leave her destitute, says he, with no son living. Destitute is basically used for somebody who's poor, who does not have anything with himself or herself. Here, the word destitute is used for Moria because according to the priest, Moria, actually prays a lot for Bartley, who was her only living son, and she would never, her prayers obviously would never let her be alone, and the God also is going to make sure that Moria has at least one living son. As I told you, the others had died, so Bartley was her only hope, and she would not, the priest said that God is not going to let her be so unfortunate with no son living. Kathleen asked Nora, "Is the sea bad by the White Rocks, Nora?" So she asked that the sea by the White Rocks, so the sea near the White Rocks, is it bad? Now, when we ask if the sea is bad, what do we mean by it? It simply means that the sea is very dangerous, that the water of the sea is very high, and the velocity, the speed of the sea, is so high, and it is so acute that it is very dangerous for one to enter the sea at that duration. Nora replied, "Middling bad. God help us. There's a great roaring in the west, and it's worse it will be getting when the tides turned to the wind." So Nora said that it is middling bad. Middling is a word which is derived from middle. So it is somewhat bad. God help us. That I really pray to God that He should help us and He should save us at this time. There's a great roaring in the west. Now this word roaring is associated with a lion. Okay, the lion's roar. Here the wind sound, the sound of the wind has been compared to that of a roar. So you can very well imagine how dangerous and how loud and fierce the sound of the wind would have been at that time. So she told Kathleen that the west wind is roaring, it is making a lot of noise, it is very dangerous and it is very fast as well. And it's worse it will be getting when the tides turn to the wind. And she said that things will get worse when the tides turn with the wind. Now, tides turn to the wind. We all know that in the sea water or the tides move according to the wind. The movement of the wind influences or affects the movement of the tide. So she said that, when things are going to get worse, when these large, these big, these dangerous winds actually take with themselves the tide also. So when the water is going to get affected because of the tide, it is then when things will get more dangerous. She goes over to the table with the bundle and she says, "Shall I open it now?" So she went to the table, she had that bundle on the table and she asked, "Shall I open it now? Shall I open this bundle?" Kathleen says maybe she'd wake up on us and come in before we are done. Coming to the table, "It's a long time we'll be and the two of us crying." So what did Kathleen say? That maybe she'd wake up on us. Wake up on us when you are not expecting somebody to wake up and you're busy doing your work and the person comes and surprises you by suddenly appearing in front of you. So she said that maybe she's going to wake up while we are busy with this and come in before we are done, and she might just enter this room even before we have seen the clothes and we have hidden them again or whatsoever. It's a long time we'll be and the two of us crying. She also said that if we also have to look at these clothes, then we will also take some time. It is going to take a long time for us also to understand and to realize whether these clothes really belong to Michael or not. And if we are still discussing and if we start crying because they do belong to Michael, then obviously she will come on and she will get to know why and what is the reason behind our tears. Nora goes to the inner door and listens. She's moving about on the bed. She'd be coming in a minute. Now Nora, she went towards the inner door, the door to the room where Moira was sleeping. She looked inside and she told Catherine that she's moving about on the bed. So their mother had actually woken up now and she was moving near the bed. She was doing something around it. And she says that she will be coming in a minute. So she will not take even a minute to enter this room. Kathleen says, "Get me the ladder and I will put them in the turf loft. The way she won't know of them at all, and maybe when the tide turns, she'd be going down to see would he be floating from the east." So Kathleen told Nora to give her the ladder. So we all know the ladder. So Kathleen told Nora to give her the ladder. She said that I am going to hide these clothes in the turf loft. Now what is a loft? Loft is a place which is usually there in the kitchens, where you can put your things in the cabinets and in the houses which were built earlier. So the old style houses, there were always lofts. There were always places within the house where you could keep your things. So that is a loft. So Kathleen says that please give me the ladder and I will put this bundle in the loft so that the mother will not get to know about it at all. And maybe when the tide turns, she'd be going down to see who would be floating from the east. So she says that right now I'm going to hide this bundle in the loft, and after some time when the tide turns low, when the water is a bit stable, it is a bit normal, then I am sure our mother is going to go near the sea to look whether Michael had been washed from the east or not. So they put the ladder against the gable of the chimney. Gable is basically the support. So the support of the chimney, they put the ladder against it. Chimney goes up a few steps and hides in the bundle of the turf loft. So there was this chimney, it was going up, and suddenly there was a loft. So there was this area in which they could keep the turf. Now what is a turf basically? Turf is that, wooden kind of a thing which is usually wrapped around the food so that it would be kept warm and it will be easier for it to be cooked. So, yes, so she hid that bundle in the turf loft. Maurya comes from the inner room, and it was then when Maurya entered from the other room. So, my dear students, I am going to pause here now. Since the play is a big one, we are going to do it in parts. So, I'd continue with the rest of the play in my next lecture. I will see you all soon.